Hello there. Let's look at world news from January and February 2023. January 2nd, Austrian Foreign Minister Alexander Schallenberg and Indian External Affairs Minister S. J. Jankar held a joint presser in Vienna. Schallenberg says he wants more trade and more scholars from India. They signed the Comprehensive Migration Mobility Partnership, which addresses the many Indians entering illegally through Serbia. Schellenberg says migrants have enriched Austria's economy, but he prefers it to be done legally. January 2nd, in Israel, Eli Cohen began his tenure as foreign minister and delivered an inaugural speech to the foreign ministry staff. He said there is no replacement for Israeli-U.S. ties and that Israel can be a partner for Europe. He also said the Abraham Accords will be expanded and Iran poses a nuclear threat, and that Palestinians promote the murder of Jews. In the same speech, Foreign Minister Eli Cohen said he wants a less fractious relationship with Russia. His predecessor, Yair Lapid, refused to meet with Russian officials since the Ukrainian proxy war began, but Cohen will do so. Israel's humanitarian aid to Ukraine will continue. In Ukraine, President Zelensky has criticized Israel for not participating in sanctions on Russia, nor sending supplies. January 3rd, Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. is making a 3-day state visit to China. He began his presidency in June. He may sign agreements on trade, agriculture, and energy. His father, Ferdinand Marcos Sr., was the dictator of the Philippines from 1965 to 1986 and took his son on a state visit to China in 1974. January 9th, Chinese Foreign Minister Chen Gong is traveling to Africa to visit Angola, Benin, Egypt, Ethiopia, and Gabon between January 9th and 16th. He was previously ambassador to the United States and began tenure as foreign minister on December 30th, replacing Wang Yi. The Chinese value their friendship with Africa and traditionally visit at the beginning of each year. January 11th, the Philippine Supreme Court voted a pact pertaining to oil exploration in the South China Sea. The 2005 Joint Marine Seismic Undertaking Agreement allowed Chinese and Vietnamese state-owned companies to jointly drill for oil in Philippine territorial waters. 12 of the court's 15 justices disagreed and said only Filipino citizens or organizations which are 60% owned by Filipinos are allowed to explore for oil in the area. January 13th, a spokesman for the Chinese Foreign Ministry has criticized Britain's report on Hong Kong. This city was a British colony from 1841 to 1997, and Britain continues to publish reports on it every 6 months. This most recent report describes the erosion of free speech and other freedoms. The Chinese state that Britain should not interfere in their internal affairs. January 16th, the United Arab Emirates has pledged $30 million to South Korea. President Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan greeted President Yoon Suk-yeol with a welcoming ceremony, including an air show. At the following summit, they also signed 13 memorandums on climate change, defense, energy, and investment. The UAE noted that Korea is a trustworthy nation. January 16th, British Foreign Minister James Cleverly was sanctioned by Russia. Russia's Foreign Ministry spokeswoman, Maria Zakharova, criticized Cleverly for his support of the Kiev regime. The previous weekend, Britain decided to send 14 of its Challenger 2 battle tanks to Ukraine. January 18th, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken hosted Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Cavusoglu to discuss the potential sale of F-16 fighter jets. The White House is open to selling, but some congressmen oppose it. The U.S.-Turkey relationship improved after Turkey mediated grain corridor talks, but things worsened again after Turkey refused to support Finland and Sweden's NATO membership, acquired Russian missile defense systems, and attacked Kurds in Syria. January 23rd, South African Minister of International Relations Naledi Pandor welcomed Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov to Pretoria. South Africa prefers neutrality and has refused to condemn Russia's role in Ukraine. South Africa calls Russia a valuable friend, and the two countries intend to hold joint maritime drills. Opposition lawmakers consider this openly siding with Russia, and some protesters appeared holding signs reading "Go home, Lavrov," and Stop the Lies, Stop the War. January 20th. Canada intends to guide the Cameroon peace process. The conflict there has already displaced 800,000 people. Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly hopes to work with the Cameroon state and armed groups to advance peace, as well as democracy and human rights. January 24th. The admission of Finland and Sweden into NATO is delayed. The countries applied jointly last October, though Hungary and Turkey have yet to approve it. However, a Swedish politician burned the Quran in Stockholm, causing Turkish President Recep Erdogan to become insulted and to deny admission to Sweden. There was some talk of Finland seeking admission alone, while others suggest waiting until the situation has cooled down. January 25th. France will withdraw its 200 to 400 special forces from Burkina Faso within 1 month. The government there has suspended a 2018 accord that allows French troops to fight Islamic insurgents connected to Al-Qaeda and ISIS. The government wants the country to be defended by its own special forces. The French special forces may be moved to neighboring Niger. January 26th. French Foreign Minister Catherine Colonna arrived in Odessa to meet with the Ukrainian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dmytro Kuleba. France has agreed to send the AMX-10RC armored combat vehicles, though Ukraine has requested the Leclerc main battle tanks, which are difficult to maintain and no longer produced. Ukraine has also requested air defense and radar systems and ammunition. Colonna also toured infrastructure sites that were struck by Russian missiles. January 23rd. The 27 foreign ministers of the European Union met in Brussels and agreed to allocate $542 million in aid to Ukraine. Ukraine has requested German-made Leopard tanks, and many countries want to provide this without delay, but the Germans have been reluctant. Poland has suggested it might send these tanks without German permission. January 31st, Ukraine's Ministry of Foreign Affairs has criticized statements by Croatian President Zoran Milanovic. He said the situation in Kosovo is unlike that of Crimea, which will never be Ukrainian again. February 2nd, Saudi Foreign Minister Prince Faisal bin Farhan spoke over the phone to Hussein Brahim Taha, the Secretary General of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. They discussed regional cooperation. February 2nd, Israeli Foreign Minister Eli Cohen returned from a visit to Sudan's capital Khartoum, where he met the leader of Sudan's sovereign council, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan. The two countries have finalized the text of a peace treaty and will likely sign it in Washington later this year, after Sudan transfers power to a civilian government. Sudan participated in the Abraham Accords, along with Bahrain, Morocco, and the UAE, which was brokered by the Trump administration. However, a military coup in October 2021 caused the process to stall. February 5th, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov made a 2-day visit to Bamako, Mali, to strengthen defense ties. Mali has been actively fighting Islamic militants linked to Al-Qaeda and ISIS. Last year, France withdrew all of its troops, so Mali turned to Russia for support. Mali describes them not as mercenaries, but as trainers helping local troops. Russia has also promised around $100 million in food, fertilizer, and fuel. February 9th, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov arrived in Khartoum, Sudan, to meet with senior officials. After a military coup in 2021, Sudan lost billions of dollars in international financing. Lavrov spoke about building a multipolar world. Sudan has considered allowing Russia to open a naval base on the Red Sea coast. Western sources claim the Wagner Group is present in the country, but they deny this. February 13th, Hungarian Foreign Minister Peter Zawatow visited Minsk and met with Belarusian Foreign Minister Sergei Alenik. He wants to keep channels of communication with Russia open. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban has refused to supply weapons to Ukraine or to allow them to pass through the country. February 14th, President Vladimir Putin wrote a letter to Serbian President Alexander Vučić, praising the country for its balanced foreign policy. Serbia has refused to apply sanctions to Russia. In return, Russia supports Serbia in resolving the Kosovo issue. Serbia does aspire to join the European Union, but this has proven to be an obstacle. February 15th, Jordanian Foreign Minister Amin Safadi arrived in Damascus, Syria. Their relationship was poor after Jordan supported rebels that tried to topple Assad. But President Assad has exploited the recent earthquake that killed thousands to help ease his country's isolation. Jordan has received thousands of Syrian refugees and wants to help with relief operations. They have already sent large shipments. February 16th, Israeli Foreign Minister Eli Cohen visited Kiev and met with President Zelensky and said he supports Ukrainian sovereignty and that he would expand aid to Ukraine. Israel could be valuable in post-war reconstruction and demining. Israel has already provided aid and gear, but no arms. Cohen also said Israel would support a UN peace initiative, a $200 million grant, and developing an early warning system. February 19th, the Netherlands has decided to limit the number of Russian diplomats in their country and expel all others. They are also closing the Russian trade office in Amsterdam and the Dutch consulate general in St. Petersburg. The Netherlands claims that Russia is attempting to place their intelligence officers in their country under diplomatic protection. February 19th, South Korean Foreign Minister Park Jin met with Colombian Foreign Minister Alvaro Leyva on the sidelines of the Munich Security Conference. They discussed trade, agriculture, and other things. Park also appreciated Colombia's kind words about South Korea's bid to host the 2030 Busan World Expo. February 20th, the Chinese Foreign Ministry said the Import-Export Bank of China has provided debt extension to Sri Lanka. They will not have to repay the loan principal or interest. The International Monetary Fund is considering a bailout for Sri Lanka and other debtor nations, but these discussions are moving slowly. February 24th, Bosnian Minister of Foreign Affairs Almudin Kanakovic met Serbian Minister of Foreign Affairs Ivica Dosic in Belgrade. They agreed to prioritize infrastructure and energy projects in the future. February 26th, the Foreign Minister of Saudi Arabia, Prince Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud, met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Saudi Arabia supports Ukraine's sovereignty, their initiative to supply grain to Africa, and other projects. February 27th, the foreign ministers of G20 countries are planning to meet in New Delhi, India, on March 1st through 2nd. India wants to talk about climate change and third world debt, but it is more likely that discussions of Ukraine will dominate. February 27th, Egyptian Foreign Minister Sama Shokri arrived in Damascus and was received by Syrian Foreign Minister Faisal Mekdad. This is the first visit by an Egyptian envoy since 2011, when President Assad cracked down on protesters. The USA continues to oppose normalizing ties with Assad. Like, comment, subscribe, and thanks for viewing.